So I'm gonna start answering the rest of these questions. I will go through all of them, so in case you're wondering about your question, I will be answering them. So please hold on. And my first question goes to Mr. Chang121212. What are your thoughts on the DC Extended Universe? Honestly, I don't really have an opinion. I really couldn't care less. No offense though. It's not like I have anything against comic book movies. It's just that I never really was a big comic book guy, and thus I don't have a proper understanding of these universes. And frankly, I haven't even seen all the DC films. I've seen Batman v Superman, and I've seen parts of Man of Steel, and that's it. So, from what I've seen, all I can tell you guys is that I think the DC universe, when compared to the Marvel universe, has a much more realistic citizenry because I think the citizens, the population that fills up the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're way too mellow. I mean, all these international threats and alien attacks and whatnot, all those things are happening every single year since these Avengers first appeared, right? And basically, the people are just pretty much down with everything that's going on. I mean, look at fucking Thor. He's a good guy, and he fights bad villains and all that, but he's basically an alien slash god. If I were to find out about the mere existence of this being, I would be freaked out to fainting. And yeah, I mean, it just seems so unrealistic, so fake that all these citizens are so fine with all that happening. I mean, I'd be traumatized. I'd be acting just like the guys in the DC universe in Metropolis. You know, I'd be fighting for these aliens to go back home. These fucking superheroes and whatnot. I mean, that's the obvious way to go. And it's not like I'm pro DC. I really don't have any opinion on the DC extended universe itself. It's just a small thought I had while watching Batman v Superman. So yeah, I don't think I'm the right guy you should be asking this to. Moving on. Do you think Captain America Civil War will be nominated at the Oscars? No. I'm pretty damn sure Captain America Civil War will not be nominated at the Oscars this year. Because that's how these things work, guys. Yeah. What are your thoughts on comic book movies these days? Um, like I said, nothing against comic movies, but never was a big fan. I do like some of them. I liked Deadpool this year. I thought Civil War was alright. Yeah, I mean, let's just say that if these comic book movies were for some reason to be like stop being made all at once, I wouldn't be sad. I or disheartened or anything like that. Let's just put it there. Moving on, Matt Rosenberg asks, I plan on visiting Seoul in the summer and would like to see some films while I'm there. Do you know of any good theaters there that have films subbed in English? Sadly, no. Theaters in South Korea, even the really small art theaters, they don't sub films in English. I mean, sorry man, I can't really help you there. Legendary on 99 asks, what's one movie you would live in for the rest of your life? Um, I don't know. Pulp Fiction, or maybe The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, or if you're gonna go all the way with the nonsense, then Harry fucking Potter it is. I'm gonna be a fucking wizard. So yeah, what film directors have influenced you greatly? Um, well, I'd like to mention a few here, but Richard Linklater, I love his films. His films has taught me how to approach and understand the concept of time, which is a theme that I've always been interested in my whole life. His films, you know, the Before Sunrise trilogy, Boyhood, Dazed and Confused, they're all among my favorites of all time. I love him. And more recently, I love Bennett Miller. Um, I think Bennett Miller is one of the best American directors working today. I love the way he takes apart, you know, real life events, you know, real life characters, and he takes them apart and he puts them under a microscope, and he always finds these super interesting, you know, uh, elements in these characters and events, and because he pays immense attention to these elements and his characters, his films have this amazing sense of reality, and nothing in them seems fake. They all seem, super real. They're really well fleshed out. I thought the film Foxcatcher was extremely well directed. I loved Moneyball. I loved Capote. And also The Cruise, which is a documentary the guy made back in the 90s. That's also a great film. And a similar director who also handles real life incidents extremely well is the Korean master Bong Joon Ho, as well as another Korean master Lee Chang Dong, and even Ramin Barani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's an indie filmmaker in America right now, and that guy's great too. And the work from all of these guys have taught me a great deal on how to perceive, respect and approach these real life events, even super minuscule everyday events, into potential stories. And yeah, I mean that's why I love these guys. I mean, I can mention 10 to 20 more directors, but I'm just gonna go ahead and move on here. A Touch of Film asks me, do you have a Facebook or Twitter? I'm sorry. For personal reasons, I'm not on any social media, and right now my plan is to stay that way. So, yeah. Sorry, guys. Tyler, your neighborhood gay asks me, do you have a Letterboxd account? No. Instead I have a Watcha account, which is kind of like the Korean version of Letterboxd, but I use that instead of I use that instead of Letterboxd because it has more. The database on Korean indie films is way bigger on the Korean version, obviously. So yeah, I use that. If you want, I could give you a link to that, but no, I don't have a Letterboxd account at the moment. So yeah. Jack Bull asks me, how often do you go to the cinema? I try to go at least twice a week. Sometimes I'll go even 4, maybe even 5 times. But yeah, I think on average 2 to 3 times a week, I'd say. So yeah. Jason Dragon asks me, what are your 10 favorite Korean films? And what are your 10 favorite films? I literally answered this same question back in part 1, so yeah. Manix1975 asks, best film slash album of the year so far. Best film of the year so far, Carol by Todd Haynes. That's technically a film from 2015, but I got to see it at the theater this January, so I did see it this year. And a film from 2016, if it has to be from 2016, then probably La La Land. Yeah. Best album of the year so far, Puberty 2 by Mitski. For those of you who are not familiar with Mitski, she's a female solo indie rock artist from New York City. She's amazing. Definitely my favorite record of the year. It's amazing. I'm a big indie rock fan, so I loved it. Check it out. Crunch Butt Steak asks, how old are you? Technically, I'm 18. I'm a few weeks from turning 19. But just to clear things up here, I have answered in the past to some people that I'm 20, which is also true, because that's my Korean age. And the thing is that it's super confusing. It's the Korean age thing and the international age. It's different. We count it differently. So yeah, I'm 18 on international standards and 20 in South Korea. So yeah. The Fisani Ferengi asks, if you could retroactively add 8 movies to the Katsu Zatoichi canon and they would all have to take place in different countries slash regions in the same period, what countries would you like to see? I honestly have no idea what this question means. I assume you're talking about the film franchise Zatoichi, and I assume you're talking about the original series that Shintaro Katsu directed. I am familiar with that series and character, but I've only seen like a couple of films in that whole franchise, and I'm not a big fan, honestly. So I don't know what this question is about, and I have no way of answering it, so I'm gonna have to pass. Sorry about that. Moving on. What would be the top five actors slash actress duos you would like to see? Korean star teaming up with the co-lead from another country. Uh, I would love to see the great Isabelle Huppert uh, teaming up with Choi Min Sik, the amazing Korean actor. Cause Isabelle Huppert actually appeared in a Korean film before, in Hong Sang Soo's In Another Country, and I loved her performance there. I love everything she's ever done. She's an amazing actress, one of the greatest actresses of all time, in my opinion. And I always thought that she would really put up a great performance against Choi Min Sik, who is without a doubt one of the best Korean actors of all time. So yeah, and for some weird reason, I always thought that Emily Blunt would fit in great in a Korean film for some reason. I'm not sure why. So maybe I'd like to see Emily Blunt in a Korean film with a Korean actress or actor. So yeah. What is your favorite Korean TV series and why? I actually don't watch a lot of Korean TV shows, and the reason is because they suck. And I'm not even kidding when I'm saying that. I love South Korean cinema. I think it's great, but our TV shows are horrible. And I could list 1,000 reasons why, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But there are some shows that occasionally rise above the others, and some shows that I actually do get to like. And one of those shows was a show that ran back in 2014 that was called Biseng, and that translates to an incomplete life or the unborn. It's basically about this young man who enters a company, and it's about his navigation and his adaptation to corporate culture, and it's that's all it is. It's not about something super flashy and all that, but it's just it's a really realistic and touching story, and it's really well directed and really well written with some great performances, and I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it to others. That's for sure. And another TV show that I thought was above average was a show called Nine that ran back in 2013, I think, and that's more of a fantasy, and that had some pretty intriguing ideas, and the script was pretty well written. So yeah, I'd say those two. Yeah. If you could watch any U.S. and Korean co-production, what should that be about? Right now, since you mentioned U.S. and Korean co-production, all I can think about is the new Bong Joon-ho production, Okja. I think that's in post production right now. I think that's my number one awaited film of 2017. I think it's gonna be amazing, and yeah, that's the U.S. Korean co-production I want to see right now. What's your favorite movie from the ones currently on YouTube's Korean Film Archive? What have you watched from there? For those of you who don't know, the Korean National Film Archive has a YouTube channel, and they actually upload some of their uh, films that they have restored themselves, some really old films, and they're actually subbed in English, so a lot of you can enjoy them, and a lot of them are actually pretty good. And some of my favorites include, obviously, The Housemaid, which is like obviously hailed as one of the greatest Korean films ever made. Gagman from the great Lee Myung-se. The General's Son, Chosu and Mansu, The March of the Fools. The Day a Pig Fell into a Well, that's the debut film of Hong Sang-soo, that's amazing. Gil So Dim. There's a lot more great films, but those are some of the films that I put on my list as my favorites from the Korean Film Archive. So yeah, be sure to check them out. Satya Narayan asks, "What's your most watched movie? Why have you seen it so many times?" My most watched movie is probably Shaun of the Dead by Edgar Wright. And the reason I've seen it so many times is simply because it's a buttload of fun. It's a light comedy, so it's kind of the a great movie to watch in any mood. So it's my to go movie. So whenever I'm sick or overjoyed or super sad, I just pop in Shaun of the Dead and I'll be happy. Vlad Radulescu asks, "Do you listen to metal music? If not, tell me why." Yeah, I enjoy metal occasionally. I used to be a lot more into it back in middle school. I started out metal with the 80s British heavy metal bands, obviously, Maiden, Priest, and all that guys. And I gradually started liking thrash metal and then speed metal. And then for a brief time, I actually was super into death metal and even black metal at a point. And these days, I just sort of stick to some newer, a little lighter black metal bands like Altar of Plagues and Panopticon, and some black gaze bands like Death Heaven, and some modern thrash bands like Havoc or Vector. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a metalhead, and I wouldn't even call myself a big metal fan, but I definitely do enjoy the occasional metal. So yeah, I listen to metal music. Nick Ward asks, thoughts on Memories of Murder. Um, Definitely. One of, if not the greatest Korean film ever made. And frankly, just one of the greatest films ever made, period, in my opinion. There's just so many things to learn from this film, from the direction to the screenplay to the plot to the characters to the cinematography to the perfect details on every single shot. It's just amazing and definitely a masterpiece from a master, Bong Joon Ho. One of my favorites of all time, obviously. Just amazing. Thoughts on Mother. Also another Bong Joon Ho film and also another masterpiece. It's personally my second favorite behind Memories of Murder, obviously. And the main performance by Kim Hae Ja is just astound. Sorry about that. Astound. And the ending scene to this film is just hauntingly beautiful. It's amazing. And also, have you seen any Mikhail Haneke? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but Mikhail Haneke films, and if so, did you like them? So far I've seen Hidden, Amour, and The White Ribbon, and I absolutely loved every single one of them. And right now, the Piano Teacher, it's on my watch list, and I'm gonna see that very soon, and I am almost certain I'm gonna love that also. So yeah. I love his films. Andre Salguero asks, "What are your favorite Blu-ray releases from your collection?" That's pretty easy. That section back there, that's the Play and Archive collection, and that's easily my favorite Blu-ray releases from my whole collection. So yeah. Blu-ray Ben asks, "Where are you from and where do you live?" I was born and raised in South Korea. What is your all-time favorite horror film and why? My all-time favorite horror film is a 1964 Japanese film called Kwaidan, and it's directed by the great Masaki Kobayashi. And it's what I would call genuinely disturbing. It's just I can't even explain the images that are portrayed in this film. It's so haunting, and those of you who haven't heard of this film, you're in luck. Next Halloween, be sure to check out Kwaidan. It's amazing. What is your favorite food? Pizza, or maybe ramen noodles. If I had to pick one food to eat for the rest of my life, I would pick ramen noodles all day long. So yeah. Have you ever regretted spending too much money on one edition of a movie in your collection? The most I've ever spent on a single edition of a film is when I paid for the Future Shop Steelbook of Inglourious Basterds. I got it right back there, and I got it for almost $100, and that's an amazing deal. But even so, once I paid for it, I regretted it because that's a stupid amount of money to pay for a single film. So yeah, but once I received the package, I knew I was never gonna get rid of it. I'm never gonna sell that, and I'm gonna keep it forever. So yeah. Burev asks, why did you name your channel Fake Plastic Films? I did answer this in part 1, but I'm just gonna say it again. It comes from the Radiohead song Fake Plastic Trees. Where or how did you learn English? Your American accent is pretty great. Thanks. Even though I was born and raised in South Korea, I sort of grew up with American books, TV shows, and films. So basically, the Western culture was integrated into our household ever since I was a kid. So English was always like kind of like a second mother tongue for me, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I gradually, learned English. How old am I? I just answered this question, so I'm gonna pass. Can you do some in-depth reviews on a director's best of their bests of their body of work? Sure. One of my biggest goals for this channel is to start making video essays on directors and films and just basically anything I want to talk about. And I'm planning on doing that actually pretty soon. So once that happens, I'll definitely do some of that. So yeah. Can you do some reviews on annual top 10 lists from KoreanFilm.org, Darcy Packet? I am aware of this site that's being run by Darcy Packet, and I do know they do top 10 lists, but I'm not sure what you want me to do. Do you want me to review their top 10 lists, or do you want me to review their review of Korean films? I'm not really sure here, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to pass. Can you do a top 10 of best all-time Prime dramas? Sure. Top 10 lists are right up my alley, so why not add one more? Sure. If you're an art major, what's your end game? As of right now, I am an art major, but I will be attending film school in a couple months, and filmmaking is what I'm most passionate about. And whether it be producing, writing, or directing, I want to be as involved in the process of filmmaking and the industry itself as possible. So yeah, I guess that's my end game. Sometimes you refer to other films that the same director has done in the review you are doing, but you talk so fast I can't quite hear the titles. I guess I could IMDb it, but info on IMDb is not as accurate or up to date. Any chance you can talk slower or write in subs of film references or do a flash of the film's artwork? First of all, I apologize. I am aware that I can talk super fast sometimes, and it's perfectly understandable that you can't hear what films I'm talking about. So starting from now, I'll make a list of every film I'm talking about in the review in the description box below, so any people could check those films out. Can you do some reviews of best of the best body of work for your favorite actors? Sure. Like I've said, I plan on doing a lot more things for this channel, especially video essays, and there definitely will be some essays on my favorite actors and my favorite performances, so definitely. Do you have an Instagram? Not at the moment. I mentioned this a few minutes back, but I'm currently not on any social media for personal reasons, but that might change, so who knows. It's nearing 4 o'clock, and I'm practically falling asleep at the desk here, but I really gotta say, I had an amazing time answering all these questions. Some of these questions were actually really well formed, and I loved talking about these stuff, so thank you for participating in this Q&A. And I apologize. I sort of ignored all the kind words you guys mentioned in between because I wanted to save time, but I did read every single one of them, and I just wanted to say thank you guys. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. I gotta get some sleep, guys.